What's happening, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we've got a big one. Euro 2024 qualifiers are just around the corner, and I've given some predictions already as to who I think will and won't qualify. But today in this video we'll be going through my full predictions for the qualifying groups, who will get those first and second spots. I'm really excited for this one. 10 groups to get through with 53 nations. Let's make a start. But before we do, as always, if you enjoy this video, please leave a like and make sure you subscribe as well so you don't miss out on any international football content. Let's get into it. Group A. So as you can see, Group A consists of Spain, Norway, Scotland, Georgia and Cyprus. Now, Spain are the best team in this group, there's no doubt about that, and certainly favourites to go through. I think that most people would have them to top their group, so I'm not going to go any different. Spain, I think, will be top of this group. They're a good team, good track record in qualifying for the Euros. They only failed to qualify for one tournament, that was in 1992, so Spain to top the group, I think, is a fair, safe bet. The big question in Group A really is who's going to come second. It's between Norway, Scotland and Georgia, I'd say. I don't think Cyprus are in there. Now, I'm probably being a little bit kind to Georgia. I like them. I think they're a decent team. They do have a guaranteed playoff spot, and to be honest, I think they're going to be happy with that. But whilst I like them, I don't think they're going to be able to compete with Scotland and Norway. I think those games between Norway and Scotland are going to be key, and they're going to be the deciding factor in this group as to who comes and gets that second spot. For me, I'm going to give it to Norway. They've got a really good team at present with Haaland, Odegaard and others. I think it's going to be nothing but failure if they don't reach this Euros. Scotland have that playoff spot, so if they finish third, it's not the end of the world for them. I think they'll be more than capable to get through the playoffs as they did in 2020. Norway do need to be careful though. Despite the fact they've got a decent team at the minute, they haven't qualified for a major tournament since the year 2000. Haaland is a massive factor for that team as well. In World Cup qualifying, Haaland missed some key games for injury against Netherlands, and I think Turkey was in their group as well. And they dropped a lot of points, which meant that ultimately they didn't get to the World Cup. So Haaland needs to stay fit. If Norway do slip up, you can guarantee that Scotland will be there. They'll take that second spot. They'll be hot on their heels. I've said in previous videos, Scotland's ability to qualify for tournaments and get more points at the qualifying stage has improved quite a lot over the last 10 years. So they'll put up a good fight. But anyway, bottom line, Spain will finish top, Norway will finish second. That's my prediction. Group B, probably the easiest one to predict. You've got Netherlands, France, Ireland, Greece and Gibraltar. I don't think it's going to be any surprise for you. I'll tell you straight away. I'm going for France and Netherlands to qualify in this group. Question is who's going to be first and who's going to be second. France, obviously World Cup finalists in 2022. Got an amazing squad, an amazing depth as well in that team. There's no way they don't qualify from this group. Netherlands, quarterfinals of the World Cup. I really like the team, good style of play. I like how they get the wing-backs forward. Quite similar to Liverpool really, getting the wing-backs really high up the pitch. The only thing I will say about Netherlands is they can flop at the group stages, can't they? As we saw in 2016 and 2018. But to be fair, I wouldn't back on it, especially in this group. I think they've got more than enough to beat Ireland, Greece and Gibraltar. I've spoken about Ireland in previous videos. Poor team, haven't qualified for a major tournament since 2016. Very little threat. I can't see them doing anything in here. Greece are okay, but they're not great. I don't think they're going to pose too much of a threat to France or Holland. They do have a guaranteed playoff spot though, and it's in League C, which means they're going to face the likes of Kazakhstan and Georgia that I mentioned before. And Greece would probably fancy their chances there, so I don't think they're going to be too fussed if they finish 3rd, 4th or 5th in this group at all, because they'll probably put all their eggs into that playoff spot. And then Gibraltar make up the final position. Clearly not going to do anything, are they? So there you go, nice and easy. France are going to top this group. Netherlands will finish a respectful second place. Group C features Italy, England, Ukraine, North Macedonia and Malta. Similar to Group B, there's two obvious candidates, aren't there, for this one? And I don't think it's going to surprise anyone that I'm going for England and Italy. But who will finish top? Look, it really could go either way between these two, but I'm not going to come on this video wearing my England top proudly and not back England to win the group. I'm going for England. I think they'll finish top and edge it just against Italy. And yes, I know Italy beat us in 2021 in the Euro finals. I know they beat us in the Nations League last year. Still going for England. We've got a really good track records in the groups. We just always do well and get past the groups really strongly. So England will come first in this group. Italy are a good team. The bottom line is they will qualify, so I'm not saying that they won't. They'll come second. That'll be absolutely fine. The only team that I think may cause an upset or some problems could be Ukraine. They may come close. They're going to have to take points off England and Italy though, aren't they? And they just can't do that. I've highlighted this in a previous video that their record shows that they don't fare well against the bigger nations. They've lost recently to England, to Germany, to France, to Spain by, big thrashings as well. I don't think they're going to cause too many problems at all. I'll mention North Macedonia purely because they beat Italy in the World Cup qualifiers to knock them out in the playoffs, so they deserve a mention. They have the capacity to cause problems, you know, maybe a shock result here and there, but they won't have the consistency to be able to challenge England and Italy, I don't feel. So to repeat, it's England top, Italy second in this group. Group D features Croatia, Wales, Armenia, Turkey and Latvia. And this is where it starts getting really tough, I feel. Starting with Croatia though, third place in the World Cup, good experience, top players in all positions. I think Croatia win this group. I honestly do. They should win it as well quite comfortably when you look at some of the other teams in here. And the hard part is who's going to get that second spot. Some people might look at this group and think Wales are the obvious candidate because they were in the 2022 World Cup, albeit they didn't do very well. But remember, Gareth Bale's retired and they do have an ageing squad. They were really poor at that World Cup as well, weren't they? You could really make a case for every team in this group, even Latvia, who have only lost one game in 2022, but I think it's between Wales and I think it's between Turkey. If we look at their 2022 results side by side, it looks like Turkey had the better year, more wins, top of their Nations League group, but it doesn't quite tell the full story for Wales, does it? Because they're in Group A of their Nations League, so they were competing against the best teams, and they were at the World Cup as well, which Turkey wasn't. So it doesn't really paint that true picture. I just think losing Bale is huge for Wales. I'm going for Turkey. Turkey to beat them to second place. Croatia first, Turkey second. I just think Turkey have a slightly better squad. There's some quality in there with the likes of Sendik Under, Hakan Çalhanoğlu. They qualified fairly comfortably in 2020 for the Euros and were unlucky to miss out on the World Cup as well. They got Portugal in their playoff. So yeah, I'm sticking with that. Croatia top, Turkey second in this group. Wales miss out. Group E features Poland, Czech Republic, Albania, Faroe Islands and Moldova. How is this group even allowed? I mean, Poland and Czech Republic are so lucky, aren't they, to be part of this group? I mean, it just looks so easy. I think they're both pretty poor at present. I know Poland were in the World Cup. I know they got to the last 16, but they weren't great, were they? They didn't really cause any threats to any teams or really, you know, show themselves in a quality light, I don't feel. Czech Republic, they didn't even qualify. I don't think either would be considered favourites in many of the other groups that we're going to go through. I mean, you put them in Group A, for example, with Spain, Scotland and Norway, and I think they both struggle in that group. But as it is, they're in Group E, so let's talk about that. History tells us they both usually have no problem qualifying for the Euros. Czechs have qualified for every Euro since 1996, Poland every Euro since 2004. Both should qualify from this group. However, if Poland or Czech Republic do drop points, this could present an opportunity for, I'm going to say Albania, I think, as my dark horse in this group, potentially. I believe they'd have to take maximum points from the teams below them. So they'd have to take maximum points from Faroe Islands, maximum points from Moldova, and that's just to make sure they get close to Poland and Czech Republic. They're going to have to take points off them as well. And believe it or not, that's exactly what Albania did in 2022 qualifying. They won 6 games, all against the teams below them, home and away. It still wasn't enough because they were unable to take points from Poland and England in that group, but let's not count Albania out. They could cause an upset here if Poland or Czech Republic have a slip and they're not performing at their best. Having said that, I still think it's a big ask for them. They will need to take points off Poland and Czech Republic. I'm not going to back Albania. I'm going to stick with Poland to finish first in this group, Czech Republic to finish second, though I hope it's closer than I think. Group F features Belgium, Austria, Sweden, Azerbaijan and Estonia. Let's talk about Belgium because they're obviously the favourites for this group. Terrible 2022 for Belgium. Not just a poor showing at the World Cup, but Nations League, they were battered by the Netherlands 4-1. Was it just a bad year for Belgium or are they actually on the decline? That's the big question. We know they've lost the likes of Hazard for retirement, Alderweireld has recently announced it as well, so is Mignolet, and we can possibly expect some other players to join them, you know, Vertonghen, Mertens potentially. The manager Martinez has left and they've brought in a new manager, Dominic Tedesco. He has a task of rebuilding and re-energising this Belgium squad after their poor showing at the World Cup and deciding whether to stick with some of the experienced players who have flopped or just look at the youth and concentrate on that going forward. His first match in the Euro qualifiers is away to Sweden. I think that's a really tough start for them. But ultimately, I expect Belgium to finish strongly in this group. I think they'll finish first, and that's what I'm going for. So, let's move on to who finishes second. Starting with Austria, they've only missed out on the Euros once since 2008, and Sweden have qualified for all of them since the year 2000. So neither team can be taken for granted in this group. I don't see Azerbaijan or Estonia competing. I think they're just going to be the whipping boys of the group, and neither of them have a playoff spot either to look forward to, so it's a shame for them. It's hard to split Sweden and Austria. I think the games between them are going to be absolutely crucial. I will be going for Sweden though, just because I think they've got a little bit more up front with the likes of Kulusevski, Forsberg and Isak. Also, they got Ibrahimovic as well, haven't they, who I noticed has been called up for the squad at 41. Good old Ibra. I think that forward line just gives them a slight edge, but it will be very close. I wouldn't be surprised at all if I'm wrong and Austria comes second. But that's what I'm going for. Belgium to top this group, Sweden to finish second ahead of Austria. Group G, Hungary, Serbia, Montenegro, Bulgaria and Lithuania. Again, an interesting one, isn't it? Like, it's funny how we get France and Netherlands, England, Italy in one group, yet we managed to get groups like this. It's so odd. But anyway, let's dissect this group. Lithuania are poor. They can't beat Faroe Islands and Luxembourg, so we can write them off straight away, I think. Serbia, I'd say, are the favourites. Strong team with Valovic, Mitrovic up front, Milinkovic, Savic, I really like as well in midfield. I don't know how he hasn't been picked up by one of the big clubs so far. I mean, I think he's a quality player. Anyway, Serbia have made it to the last couple of World Cups, haven't they? But they've never qualified for the Euros, at least as Serbia. I know some of you point to the former Yugoslavia, but as Serbia, they've never qualified for the Euros. They're definitely in my top two. Do Hungary come above them, though? I don't think they do, you know. I know Hungary had a really good... I'd even go as far to say Hungary had an outstanding 2022. Beating England twice, beating Germany, but I think it was just that. I think it was just a great year for them. They have been at the last two Euro tournaments, and I think they qualify out of this group. Serbia are the better team though, I'm confident of that, so I think Serbia finished top, Hungary finished second. They just quite simply have the better team, don't they, Serbia? As for Bulgaria and Montenegro, neither are bad, neither are that good either though, are they? I mean, they'll need to pull something off pretty special to get even close, I think, to Serbia and Hungary. But similar to what we said with Albania, if they beat all the teams around them, like they beat the teams below them, then maybe if they can take some points off them, they could be in for a chance. I don't see it. Serbia top, Hungary second in this one. Group H. Now, we're on the last three groups that all have 6 teams. So, straight off the bat, we've got Denmark, Finland, Slovenia, Kazakhstan, Northern Ireland and San Marino. Let's discount San Marino. Sorry for that. So they're not going to be part of it, are they, unfortunately? Good old San Marino. Anyway, Denmark, definite favourites in this group. Disappointing World Cup, though, remember, especially after being semi-finalists in the Euros. Now, I haven't heard of any of their players retiring, so please let me know if I've got that wrong, but I think their squad's going to be relatively unchanged. I'm putting them as winners in this group. They're strong. They're a good team, Denmark. Really good history in qualifying as well. They never usually have too many problems. So let's dissect the rest of the group. I've said in the previous video, Northern Ireland won't qualify. They're really poor. I'm sticking with that. Very poor national side at present. Kazakhstan had a good 2022, didn't they? Winning their Nations League group, meaning they've got a guaranteed playoff spot. I think they're going to be over the moon with that. They've never qualified for the Euros. I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, they've ever really got close. I don't see them competing in the group, so maybe a couple of upsets. They're clearly good at home. Their home form's very good. We'll see. We'll see what they can do, but I'm not banking on them. They'll be happy with a playoff spot. So Slovenia or Finland, neither side are that amazing. It's really hard to split these sides. The things I look for form, I look for key players that they've got. I look for sort of, I think history helps as well, like how good are they at qualifying before. You have a look at Slovenia and Finland. Neither of them are very good at qualifying for major tournaments. Slovenia haven't qualified since 2010, which was for the World Cup. Finland have never actually made it to a World Cup. They only made it to the Euros once, which was the last one, so that might go in their favour slightly. You look at their standout players, neither side have really got a superstar, have they? I think maybe Oblak, the goalkeeper for Atletico Madrid, who's Slovenian. You know, can you really sort of hang your hat on a goalkeeper as your star player? Not often. You have a look at their form, though, in 2022. Both of them not losing many games, quite a lot of draws, and not winning many either. I'm going to go for Slovenia just purely because they looks like they've done slightly better in 2022. It's a very poor basis, though, I will admit. Finland could very easily come second in this group. I think in other groups these two would struggle, but one of them's going to go through in this tournament, I think. Yeah, so I'm going to go for Slovenia. So that's Denmark first, and then Slovenia second. Not confident on this one, though, I will say. Moving on swiftly to Group I, which is one of my favourite groups. Really competitive, this one. So, it features Switzerland, Israel, Romania, Kosovo, Belarus, and Andorra. So, We'll start with the favourites, Switzerland. Definitely my favourites too, although they're not considered one of the major European teams like France, Spain, Germany. Their track record in qualifying speaks for itself. I mean, they've qualified for every World Cup and Euros in the last 21 years, with the exception of one, that was 2012, where they missed out on the Euros. They'll make it out of this group. I think they'll top the group as well. I've got no real doubts about that. They're a good team. They'll be absolutely fine. But this group isn't about Switzerland. It's about who is going to get that second spot. We've got some interesting teams, haven't we, as well? Teams that we don't usually see at tournaments very often. Israel, Romania, Kosovo, I think are probably the standouts that could get that second spot. Very little chance, maybe an outside chance of Belarus. Definitely not Andorra though, I don't think they're going to cause any problems. I have tipped Israel as well to make it to the Euros in a previous video, whether that be through the group or whether that be through the guaranteed playoff spot. Israel's under-20s and under-21s are performing really well, qualifying and progressing in tournaments, so the future's quite bright for Israel. And for their first team as well, they had a pretty good year in 2022. As for Romania, they're okay as well. Qualification doesn't always come easy for them though. Haven't made it to the Euro since 2016, no World Cups in that time either. But they have got a very nice start. They play Andorra first and then Belarus. That's a good opportunity for some early points on the board, and that could go in their favour, I think. As for Kosovo, new FIFA nation, aren't they? Never qualified, but they are decent. Not great, decent. Maybe if they have a good run in this group, pick up some points, at home especially, I think their home form would be really, really key. They could be pushing for that second spot, you know, but I'm going to put my prediction on Romania. Again, it's a really hard one to back up this one, because I wouldn't be surprised if either one of these three teams make it. Other than to say, I think Romania are just slightly better than Israel and Kosovo. More players playing in the European leagues. I think it will be close. I do predict a lot of draws in this group as well. I don't think these are going to be outstanding games in the group stages. I think we're going to see a few 0-0s, probably a few 1-1s, just because these teams want to make sure they're in it right to the end. But there you go. It's another prediction I'm not very confident about. So Switzerland to top this one, Romania to finish second. It's a tough call though. Finally, Group J, which features the worst ranked team in UEFA at the moment, which is Liechtenstein. So let's rule them out. They won't be there. And actually, whilst we're there, Slovakia, Luxembourg, they're not going to be there either. Let's rule them out. You might be a little bit surprised about Slovakia because they have been at the Euros before and I'm just sort of writing them off straight away. Well, back-to-back losses to Kazakhstan last year and a loss to Azerbaijan. I think that says it all. They ain't going to be there. Don't worry about that. Portugal, obvious favourites, and I believe they'll win this group quite comfortably. I really like the look of them at the World Cup. Really like the team and the style of football, despite their losses to Morocco and South Korea. I mean, they were brilliant against Switzerland, weren't they, if you remember that game? So that leaves second place between Bosnia and Iceland. If you've seen my previous video, you will know that I've backed Bosnia to make it to the Euros. And the reason I gave for that was because of this group. I think they're good enough to get through in that second place spot. I think they're even good enough probably to push Portugal quite close as well. Now, this would be their first Euros if my prediction is right. They've not qualified for major tournaments in 2014, so they're going to have to find that cutting edge in this group just to make sure they get that second spot. They were unlucky to miss out in 2021 though. They lost a playoff to Northern Ireland on penalties. Decent team, better than Iceland I would argue, who are probably going to be their main competitors in here. And that's interesting enough who they play in the first game. So that's going to be a good one to watch. I'm predicting then Portugal top this group, Bosnia-Herzegovina finish second. Well, there you have it. Thank you very much for sticking to the end of this video. As always, I really want to know what you guys think. So please leave your comments. Let me know who you think is going to qualify. Am I on the money? I think there's some obvious ones, aren't there? But I think there's also a lot of groups here which are, you know, really open for debate and discussion. So I'd really like to know your thoughts. As always, leave a like. Please subscribe as well. That really does help the channel out and help me out as well. I do love it when I see new people subscribing to the channel. It really warms my heart. We've got some good videos coming up as well. There's been some announcements about the World Cup. There's been some talk about the group stages changing as well. So I want to give you my thoughts on that. But as always, thanks for watching and I'll speak to you again.